Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to Art Man's Life. My name is Ali. Thanks so much for stopping by. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. Wow. So to kick things off this year, I thought I'd give you a Lego City update. We've done a lot of things here. I've worked quite a lot over the holiday period. A lot more organization has gone through into the city and I can't wait to share it with you. All right, catch you after the break. So phase one of the newly redesigned Lego City was MILS conversion. I painfully and laboriously converted most of my buildings to the MILS system, the modular integrated landscape system. It was a big pain to do, but worth it. It was pretty expensive, but I managed to find some cost-saving techniques to be able to do that, and I'll share that in another video, so stay tuned for that. We have a few buildings that haven't been converted yet, which are those three at the back and the palace. And I have not converted the Ninjago City sets to MILS yet. And I don't think I will because because they're very much anyway elevated and they're on water. So I wanted to create the water here, and putting this on MILS, and you kind of lose that kind of depth. So these will still remain on the base plates, which is fine, because I wanted to have that difference in level for the water design coming through. One thing you may have noticed is that there's no road plates yet in the city, and I've kind of gone about constructing my city in the opposite way that most people do, because a lot of people they start by first placing down the infrastructure of the roads around the city and then build the city based on where the roads are placing. I went in about a different way because I didn't want to waste so much space utilizing roads. I was more focused on creating neighborhoods, the entertainment district, the European district, the cultural neighborhood, downtown. So that was kind of my first priority, to construct those neighborhoods first, and then I'll figure out the road system around it. In my previous city, I had neighborhoods, little blocks of various themes. So we had the culture neighborhood, we had the hipster neighborhood, we had the European neighborhood. So I wanted to try and keep those similar themes in the newly redesigned Lego City. But on top of that, I wanted to have the first view or the first entrance when you walk into the room and see the Lego City. The first thing must really pop out to you straight away. And what I try to do first is when you enter the room, the first thing you see is this pop of Art Deco color with the diner and my version of the Palace Cinema with the Art Deco color scheme. And I think that's really great because it's really inviting, in my view, to then have a person come in, see this and go, okay, wow, this is cool. And then your eye naturally then goes to the skylines of the Daily Bugle and the skyscraper, and then some other colors straight away into what I call the Art Nouveau district, or the Lego Friends Street that I have set right in the middle of the table. And then moving along right next to this kind of entertainment district is the European neighborhood, as I like to call it, where you got the Parisian restaurant, which is still a classic in my view. It's my first ever modular and I love it. And next to that is the noodle shop that was converted and modified as an alternative build by the awesome Bricative team. I added my own little flair to it, but the essence is still the same with their instructions. And next to it is, if I just slowly move over, Ninjago City, the bookshop and the boutique hotel. which is a lovely building, and I've added an extra floor there because I wanted to have an executive suite in the hotel room. There's 4 keys, but only 3 rooms in the official set, so we needed something. And then to round it off, we have the Newbury High School, which I converted from a hidden side Newbury school into a 16 stud wide modular building. And then of course the Sanctum Sanctorum Doctor Strange Marvel building that we have to top end this kind of cube neighborhood of the European street. And then across from there, what I really wanted to have front and center is something beautiful, something different, something that isn't the official module, but my own creations, which is the mosque, the tea hut in the middle, separating the two, which has still got that medieval kind of structure, and then the cathedral as well. And I wanted them side to side. Originally, I had them back to back, but I think seeing them side to side is really nice, because then with this view you can see both buildings really well, and it adds a really nice layer depth to Lego Friends Street here, and my version of Friends Assembly Square. If I can just zoom in a little bit, then you can see it's all detailed. I'll do a video on this separate mock that I did, because it is one of my favorite mocks that I put together. And then continuing on with the layered depths, behind it is then the skyline of the Bugle and the Pac-Man building, the arcade pool hall, and the hipster building, and the tuning shop slash car wash that we have in the background there. That's not the permanent home for those buildings there. I'm still trying to figure out where to place them in the city. Then running up the table at a different sense of direction are the classic modulars with Assembly Square, the police station, the corner garage there, and another mock that I got from Rebrickable based on CJ Tonic's design of a luxury apartment building, which I think goes really well with the Assembly Square and that whole street as general. Technically, these buildings do have the kind of similar facades and design as the ones in European quarter here, but it was difficult to fit everything together in once, but we'll still play around with it. One of the great things now, having this great new extra room and this city layout, is that it enables me now to finally place in the Ninjago City sets into my Lego City layout. I really wanted to incorporate these sets into the city. It's always difficult because there's water around them, and it is a challenge. And I know it's not custom creations and etc. And they're just as well great as display items too. But I really didn't want to just have them display. I really wanted to try and integrate them into the city somehow. So. And you know, continuing with that kind of viewer experience, you know, as you walk in, as I mentioned, you see the pop of color, and then you slowly walk around, and then boom, you're met with the beauty of the Ninjago City first set, which I still think is amazing. And then when you walk around, having this view of the Ninjago City sets front and center in front of you, and then having the layers of the other buildings behind it, I think really adds a great visual experience without being too cluttered in the city. One building that I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to place into the city is my Palace Spa building that I based on Raya's Palace set. I think it again is one of my favorite creations that I put together. It would be a shame not to integrate this somehow into the city. I'm actually thinking of converting this to be sitting on water and take inspiration of a lovely mosque that I saw in Turkey, in Ortaköy in Istanbul, where they had a similar kind of lovely mosque, but it was sitting at an angle right next to the sea, and it was a really nice view, and I want to try and replicate that somewhere here. And speaking of angles, one thing that I'm seeing in my city is everything is really straight. Yeah. I really want to have some kind of angles in here. That's why I love the boutique hotel, because it has that lovely angle design here. So my next project is going to be trying to consider angles, curves, and more than likely that's going to be around a skyscraper kind of design. Because one of the problems that I have here in the city is, although everything's great so far, one blind spot is this spot right behind the Friend Street. If I put buildings here, which I have the space to do, it's very difficult to see them from this angle, because the tables are right up against the wall. So you lose some of the beauty of the buildings that you're going to be placing there, which I think is a shame. It really is a shame. So, and because of the way the table is designed and placed in the room, your viewing experience really has to be then from these angles only, from these roughly from probably all the way up to here, and then around this kind of view, around the table, and then from here. So anything that you kind of place on this side, you're going to lose it from a viewing experience. So there's two options here I'm thinking of. One is to create an open area, so like a park, open space, so there's no buildings there to really look at, or place some skyscrapers here where it doesn't really matter that you're looking at it from this direction, because it's more about the height, as is with the Daily Bugle and the White Tower that I have. The third option, which is a little bit more tricky and something I really want to try and incorporate, is elevation. So if we have some elevation added to this side of the table, you're then not reliant upon putting buildings against here facing this way, rather than having a level and then having another set of buildings facing this way, and then you're able to have a much more enjoyable viewing experience. That will take a bit of time and planning and parts for sure, and how I'm going to try and do that elevation, but that's something definitely I really want to try and do in a later phase of the city. In terms of free space, you can still see, I've still got a plethora of space here and here, and obviously on this back wall here we've got one half base plate still here in this entertainment district. This is still to be built into a mock, which is the Lego Friends Theatre, and I think that fits in really well with this entertainment district theme. And we still have some space front and center on the coastline, shall we say. The space here is reserved then for the Ninjago City markets sets. That is hopefully coming soon. It was my annual Lego purchase, big Lego City purchase that I've done this year. So the next phase is going to be then very much infrastructure. As I've gone things in reverse, my next focus is going to be messing around with train tracks in the city, figuring out how to incorporate the water with the city, with some bridges and the dock to whatever extent. And the biggest challenge there is going to be the space limitations that I have, but I'm sure we can figure out a way. Then also try and figure out what I'm going to do with this dead space that I have here. Although I call it dead space, it's not really dead space. What I mean by that is, how can I make the viewing angle optimal if I place a building here and still being able to enjoy the beauty of that building with a limited view from a human perspective. In terms of new buildings coming into the city, My next projects are going to be a skyscraper. I really want to design my own skyscraper. As I can't afford the Avengers Tower set at this moment in time, but I still want to have a third skyscraper in the city. And then the Avengers Towers eventually will be the fourth. From an official modular perspective, the space here behind the cathedral and the mosque and this neighborhood of culture is going to be reserved for the Natural History Museum, because I think that building and that theme goes in perfectly with the cultural neighborhood and the design of that. So that's going to look really nice. And even though it's going to have its back facing kind of the optimal direction from the front, but even from this side you can still see a really nice viewing angle from a human perspective. So you're not going to lose the beauty of that. And it also invites someone to look forward and peek in and say, oh my God, what's going on there? And that's kind of what it's all about, is to pique that interest. Further phases then will then be more about the details, putting more trees in there, placing minifigures around, creating the stories, all that kind of fun stuff, which to be honest, which is the thing I really love to do more in a Lego city. You may have noticed a rail track in the middle here, and it's something I'm playing around with, and I'm brand new to Lego trains, so I'm still learning about it, and I've always wanted to have Lego trains, and I don't have enough space for a whole loop, so I'm tackling it in a different way by having just a single line, but then using a light sensor to automate the stopping and starting and changing direction and going reverse. So the idea is that you have a train or a tram line reaching from one end of the city right to the starting end of the city. That's the kind of target, so I'm just messing around with that to see if I can incorporate that and have these train tracks on the same place as roads. So in a lot of European countries, you always see the tram and the road sharing the same track, or the same road, shall we say, the same space. It's not a separated track. So I wanted to utilize that in the city as well. So that's about wraps up the city update for the first one for 2024. Hooray! There's a lot of stuff to be done, and I'm so excited to be able to work on it and do it. It's been so much fun and sharing this with you, and I'll continue to share. Hope you get some inspiration from my city and into your city, because I get inspiration from numerous people, from the comments, from other videos, from other YouTubers, articles and designers. So it's awesome to be able to share and get inspired by each other. So let me know what you think. Any suggestions, any comments, please feel free to comment down below. Till next time, I'll catch you in the next one. For now, take care, peace and love.